Hello Gabor. Now, sorry about the simplicity of this model, but to demonstrate what you've kind of done, I've just sort of done something quickly. I'm going to show you the hierarchy. Okay, so we're using just parenting on this. Now, there are other ways to do this, obviously, such as binding a skeleton to this and then actually moving it is how you do for animation. But you haven't got onto that stage yet, and as your project, you've just been told to parent it in a sensible way. So if we click this middle part, it will obviously select the whole of the model. If I click one of the legs, it will select the whole leg, and etc, etc. And if I click this one here, it will select here, and the same for the leg there. If I select the tail, it will select everything. And this is because, for instance, if I come here, remember you have set your pivot point as well. Look at the pivot point there. I've placed that on the leg. The reason I've done that is so that obviously, you know, in your course, what you've got is you've frozen all your translations, which is cool. So you can move the leg up like that. And then if you zero this out, it will go back to exactly how it was before. The same applies with the skeleton here. If I move parts of this around like this and twist, if I reset that back again, then it will go back to its reset. Now, as you can see, as I click each part of the spine, it will ripple up this, which makes a lot of sense because you want to be able to control each part of it. If I just click the head, I can move the head. Obviously I haven't set the rotation point of the head, so what I would do there is just, as you've done before, hit that insert key, move this rotation point to where the skeleton would be there, and then hit the insert key again, and then you can move the head so it follows with the skeleton. So the hierarchy structure with this, because I've made it simple, is as I said before, we can move the leg up there, we can take this leg and move it down there to put it into pose. Obviously the same with the back leg as well, so you can move the back leg up and the hierarchy will follow. Oh, I haven't hierarchied this to that leg, so I need to do that. Which is a simple case of moving that there. Let me just put all this back to 0. And that front leg as well, show you how I've done it. Let me just pause the video whilst I sort this hierarchy at the top. Okay, that's done. So rotate this and this will follow. This will follow this. Of course, if you hit here, the whole leg will follow as well. Okay, if I move part of this, it'll move the head, and of course I could twist the head round there. If I selected this, move the leg up, move this leg down, you know, and you know, if I click this, I can press the W key and translate it to move the whole object. So how have I done this hierarchy, and how should you be looking at doing it? Now, the most important thing is you've got to look when you're doing these models is what's at the end of it. You know, what do you want to control in the model? Like, I know the head's here. I don't want to just control, I want to control just the head, but I don't want to hit the head and control all of the spine. And that's why I've put the spine there, so it goes up. So it runs up the hierarchy. So it means I can control everything from this point onwards down the line. And that's the same with the leg. Like the leg there, I want to control here. I don't want it to be controlled by this. I want this to control this part of the leg here and anything below it. So you're looking at a hierarchy where anything is below that. It's really important. So let's have a look at my structure in Outliner and see what I've done here. So if you look, I've got the body, which is the main group, which controls everything. Underneath that, I've got the abdomen. So if, you know, I could actually make the abdomen part of the legs. I could take both these legs, middle mouse click, and make it controlled by the abdomen. So if I click the abdomen, it would select that, which might be a better way of doing it. And that goes for the body as well. I might want to hit the body and just tie that onto there, but it's already got the front legs on there. So up to you how you work, but if we look at the front leg, for example, when I open this up, you can see that underneath that structure, I've got the middle leg, and then I've got that. So that's the guiding point, and then the hierarchy runs down. Now for the spine, it's very complicated because you've got each spinal piece. So I've started with the end of the spine there, and as you work down, I've worked along this so it follows it up, and finally right at the very end it actually hits the head. So at this point here, it hits the head in here. Open that right up. You can see that spine. Now, like I said to you, I probably wouldn't do every spinal column because it just adds a lot of complexities to the model. If you're animating and you'd be rigging this on a skeleton, then that deformation is going to happen by your rigging and not by putting tons of things. Now, if you're doing something like a robot, then you might consider doing something like this. But to have 32 or 33 spines is quite a lot before we get to the head. So it's just something to bear in mind. So if you look at that hierarchy structure here that I've got, then it will kind of hopefully make sense to you. Middle leg. So there we got the there and there. And then of course I've got the back legs as well. So I've got that abdomen area there, where I just put those back legs, and then you've got the same thing happening there. So it's how can you control it. The most important thing is here having control of the model on those pieces. So if I click here, I can control the leg. If I click here, I can control the neck, I can control the head, I can control the whole leg, or just the bottom of the leg and the feet as well. So this is basically just simply set up for you just to show you, but I'm trying to work to the same structure that you've got. But like I said, I probably wouldn't have half these spines in here because they don't serve a purpose. Unless I was doing a skeleton model of a horse, then I might put all of the spines in there and the ribs and all these sort of things, but we're not. We're working with something much simpler. So even to the case that you could just have this neck area, this piece is one piece of geometry, and the tail is one or two pieces of geometry. You don't need to have all this spine along here, I don't think. For some purposes you might, but I don't know where they're going to go to next with your lesson, so it's hard to interpret what they're trying to get out of you, kind of thing. But doing what I've done here will show to the teacher that you have an understanding of how the hierarchy works, and you can explain it easily. You can say, right, well, I've done this because I want control of the leg, but I also want complete control of this character as well. So if I hit the body area there, it will select all because it's parented. But if I just want to control the leg, I can just click the leg there and there. If I want to control both of the back parts then of both legs at the same time, I can do something like this, but I could also go in and choose the hierarchy on the leg. So by doing a simple model like this, it will show to the teacher that you've got a real understanding of parenting. And I think that is the whole point of the lesson that he's done for you there, or she's done for you, because they wanted to basically make you understand that. And I understand why they've done it, because it's a core principle of keeping your scene organized, and also going from here to the next step, which could be rigging or creating a more complex object with multiple parts and still having control of it. Okay, so I hope this helps you, Gabor. Once you get into it, it'll be like, oh, that makes sense. I use parenting a lot if I'm just doing things like robots. You'll probably see in my rapier course, which I've got here, because it's kind of a static model. If we look at this, I've used the same thing. Now, I have used groups to do this. But if I take this midsection, you can see this midsection here. If I press the E for rotate, then I can actually rotate this. Yeah, and I've done that using groups instead of parenting. So it's up to you how you want to work with it. You got this midsection here. We've also got this missile adjust. So if you look at that, I can adjust that by obviously setting my pivot point. So now I've got control over this, and I've got control over this as well, this whole section. So you can see I used a similar thing. I just used groups in this case, but you could have easily have used parenting to do that. I just didn't for this particular one, but it doesn't matter. You could use parenting or groups. I find groups is sometimes easier for certain things, especially for the next phase of this project. But that's a classic case of showing you how parenting can work on these kind of objects. You can go in there and you can do the radar adjust as well. I've even got adjustments for the radar and the actual missile itself, which can go up and down. Yeah, so hopefully that's made it easier. I've used groups there, of course, but like I said to you, you can use parenting as well, as you've done for the horse model. So hopefully that's helped you and made it a little bit clearer to the importance of your pivot points and parenting and sometimes grouping. Now, you've not been asked to use grouping for this, so I would stick to the parenting. If you want to set a group up and just tell the teacher what you've done, then they'll be like, yeah, you know about grouping as well. That's cool. So yeah, hopefully that helps you, and let me know how you get on in the class and what your tutor said, because that would be very interesting to me, because you know, I like to find out what teachers are telling you and teaching you along the way, because it can help me, and also I might have some questions for you to ask them. So yeah, get back to me, Gabor, if you have any problems with this, but I think I've explained that pretty well to understand the hierarchy structure of and the pivot point structure and things inside of Maya.